The ninth and final episode of She-Hulk just dropped on Disney Plus this past week, and this will be my spoiler review of the episode. If you enjoyed this video today, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content. Spoiler warning for the finale of She-Hulk. So I'm going to run through a recap of the episode. So the episode begins with an intro, which is paying homage to the original The Incredible Hulk TV show from the late 70s, which I just thought opening it with that was just awesome. I thought that was real cool how they did it. Jen then wakes up at a prison cell similar to the one Abomination was in, implying that the intro that we saw was maybe a dream. But then Mallory comes in to tell Jen that they offered her a plea deal where the DA won't pursue any charges so long as Jen never transforms into She-Hulk, and she has that anklet placed on her that Abomination had. So Jen accepts the deal, but because of the incident, she loses her job and also has to move out of her apartment and back in with her parents. So Nikki and Jen are also actively trying to figure out who Hulk King is, and Nikki takes a video that Jen had took in college, which was provided to Nikki by Jen's mom, and she posts it on Intelligentsia, posing as one of the incels on there. Nikki finds out a location for an event they're holding and has Pug infiltrate it, acting as if he agrees with the Intelligentsia's cause. Jen thinks that she could use a mental health break at the same time, and she goes to Blonsky's compound, and she can't find him there, but the guy who was a member of the wrecking crew that was there tells her that he's hosting a private event and that's where he'll be. So when Jen goes down there, it turns out that it's actually the same Intelligentsia event Pug and Nikki are at. So Jen walks in as Blonsky is transformed into Abomination and giving a speech, but he tells Jen that it was only for the money and he doesn't actually believe in what Intelligentsia does. So prior to this, Pug had found out Todd was Hulk King, which Nikki bursts in and tells Jen. So Todd gives a speech about how he earned his powers or whatever by basically having Josh seduce Jen, and we also find out that Josh also took some of Jen's blood, which he injects into himself, turning him into a Hulk. So Jen then turns to the camera in disbelief and is basically like, is this really where we're going with this, basically? So right after that, Titania bursts in, and then Bruce bursts through the ceiling and starts fighting Abomination as well, because he thought that Abomination was behind it because Abomination was holding Jen. So Jen finally gets fed up, and she asks, like, referring to us as the viewer, is this working for you? But then, like, literally right as she says that, so we're back at the Disney Plus menu, as if some sort of glitch happened, only for Jem to be breaking the fourth wall and busting out of the show completely, landing at the lot, which the show was filmed for Marvel Studios. So she finds her way to her own writer's room to confront them, and when she complains about everything that happened and that was happening, the writers say that there are certain things that have to happen in a superhero story, and it's what Kevin wants. But what's funny about that is that they're referring metally to Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel, but in the context of the show, they're referring to a robot with the acronym KEVIN. So Jen then says that she wants to talk to Kevin, and she goes to find him. So it was really awesome to see them do this entire sequence before I continue with it, just because it is something that has comic precedence in both her, because she is known to break the fourth wall in the comics, as well as Deadpool. And I think they've gotten even so meta in Marvel Comics before, basically in terms of the Marvel cosmic hierarchy. You have a bunch of your cosmic entities like Eternity that we saw in Thor Love and Thunder and stuff like that. And then above that, we have the Living Tribunal, which is a multiversal entity, which we've only really seen nods to. And we saw, I think there was a statue for the Living Tribunal in Thor Love and Thunder as well. And then there was a Universe and Multiverse of Madness that was just a bunch of Living Tribunal heads. And then they mentioned the Living Tribunal in the first Doctor Strange with the staff, of the Living Tribunal. Basically, above the Living Tribunal, there's the One Above All. Now, basically, the One Above All is just considered like the supreme cosmic Marvel being. They've only ever been shown like a handful of times in Marvel Comics at all. and when they do, they can take it can take like a certain form. Like there was a Spider-Man story where I think he appeared as a homeless person and stuff like that. Basically, literally, they can appear. The One Above All can appear as like anything and anyone at any time if they want to tell the story that way. There's also been the point that I'm getting at is the One Above All has been depicted, I believe, as Jack Kirby in the comics at one point. So Stan Lee and Jack Kirby are like the fathers of Marvel. Everybody knows Stan Lee, but the other half of the coin is Jack Kirby. So Jack Kirby has also been depicted as the One Above All in Marvel Comics. So it's just funny to see them do this whole meta fourth wall break. I really like that they did that. So Jen ends up finding the office, and she has to sign an NDA, but then the guy who made her sign calls security that she has to fight off. So she finds where Kevin is inside this room that's playing multiple MCU movies at once, and it reveals that Kevin is a robot, which Kevin is an acronym, KEVIN, which stands for Knowledge Enhanced Visual Interconnectivity Nexus, which I don't even know if that really means anything, but it's just funny that they did that. So I thought the entire interaction between them was really funny. We had some even more meta moments, like her, when she transformed back into Jen from She-Hulk form, she did it off screen to save the show's budget. She makes jokes about smashing Matt Murdock, and then she asks Kevin when we're going to get the X-Men, to which Kevin says he can't say. And then Kevin also said Bruce was supposed to introduce, but then like he gets cut off, and then Jen says save it for the movie, insinuating that there's going to be a potential Hulk movie in the works, which was actually rumored not too long ago, I think a year ago or something. I think I might have even made a video on it. It was rumored that a World War Hulk movie was going to be in development. So overall, Jen makes her point that she should be able to do the show in her way, and we don't have to add all the extra stuff like the Todd Hulk storyline and Bruce Banner Hulk coming back from space so abruptly, because she said the main villain was basically like, it wasn't Todd with Hulk powers, it was just Todd, and that the real conflict of the series was her trying to like balance her life as Jen and She-Hulk and stuff like that. So I really thought it was it was still meta, but I did think it was like a cool, unique resolution that they kind of brought to it. So she also throws in that she wouldn't mind more Matt Murdock, though, which was funny. So meeting her demands, Kevin removes the Todd Hulk storyline and takes Bruce out after coming down from space abruptly, and then Jen goes back to the show. So she's back in the compound with the members of Intelligentsia arrested, and it's kind of like the morning, and she confronts Todd, but when it looks like she's about to hurt him, she just transforms back into Jen and then tells him that he'll see her in court. So Daredevil drops from the sky off frame, which I thought was real funny for them to do, just because she literally asked Kevin to do more Matt Murdock. But then Blonsky goes back to prison for 10 years for violating his parole, which was him turning into Abomination. So it cuts back to Jen's family place, where Matt is a guest and they're having a cookout, and some funny jokes are made about insinuating Matt and Jen having kids and stuff, which were pretty funny, while one of the aunts is really digging Matt. So Bruce walks into the cookout back from Sakaar, and he reveals that he brought his son with him, Scar. So a lot of people don't like the design of Scar, but I'm digging what they're doing with it. Obviously, they're not going to depict Scar in a serious light in this show, because it's still a comedy show, and they literally just introduced Scar, so it's not, I don't think it's that serious to look too deeply into his design and the way he was introduced right now, but I'm glad they introduced Scar, and I'm curious to see where they're going to take it. So the final cuts to Jen going to court for a lawsuit against Todd, where she talks to a reporter after the reporter had said that her conviction was overturned. So Jen says that if anyone wants to harm or harass innocent people, that she'll come for them as both a superhero and a lawyer. The episode ends with that, and there's a single post-credit scene where Wong grants Abomination asylum at Kamar-Taj and essentially breaks him out of prison. So I definitely really liked what they did in the meta fourth wall breaks that they did with this episode. Overall, as a series, the series really did warm up to me. Now, with that being said, I will say I'll probably give the series an 8 out of 10. I do think it warmed up to me for sure. It still really isn't the type of comedy that was really hitting for me all the time. There were definitely times where I could tell they were obvious jokes, but they just weren't landing for me, which is fine. But obviously that would make me enjoy it a little bit less, along with the fact that it is a comedy. So I will say that as well. I'm not mad that they made this show a comedy whatsoever, and I wouldn't change what they did with this show really. But I will say, because it's a comedy and the type of comedy that it is, it wasn't really what I am personally looking for in an MCU show. So with that being said, I would probably rank it underneath all the other MCU shows, just because I prefer the other MCU shows more. But with that being said as well, I don't think there's any single bad MCU show whatsoever. All the Disney Plus shows I enjoy a lot, including She-Hulk. I just think comparing them to one another, I would say She-Hulk is last, but like I said, that's because it doesn't really just fit to me personally, which is okay for it to do. I do still enjoy it, and I actually am trying to continue to rewatch the MCU right now, so I'm looking forward to rewatching all the Disney Plus shows, which I will run back She-Hulk as well when I get to that point. But overall, I do think that She-Hulk is like an 8 out of 10. I do think it did a pretty good job comedy-wise, just didn't hit all the time for me, and I am looking forward to see if there's going to be a season 2 or where we are going to see She-Hulk's character after this. So comment down below with what you thought of the She-Hulk series, and if you enjoyed this video today, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content, and I appreciate you for watching the video.